Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining this session. My name is Isabel. I am an event planner for the Reactor, joining you live from Sydney, Australia. Now, before we begin this fantastic session, we have a quick housekeeping. We are committed to fostering a welcoming, inclusive, and supportive environment for both our audience and presenters. While we absolutely encourage engagement in the chat, please let's keep our comments respectful and constructive throughout the session. Our session is being recorded and will be available to view on demand within 24 to 48 hours right here on the Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel. Thank you all for joining us on this session of the Copilot Corner series. And today's session is called Mastering Copilot in Microsoft Teams. I am excited to introduce our fantastic speaker, Christy, and we'll now be handing over the spotlight to her. Take it away, Christy.
Hello and welcome everyone for number 3 in the series. Looking forward to getting in and having a bit of a play around with Microsoft Teams. We've talked about I am Kirsty, I am an MVP, and my motto is, in terms of productivity, no user left behind. The two that we've already run so far, we've done the art of the prompt and then untangling Copilot chat. So you can actually go and see these. They're available on the Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel, and they're also in my presentation as well. So you'll be able to go and have a look if you open it up. We're just going to touch on Copilot and Teams. What do you actually have? We're going to go then and dive in and have a look a bit of the prompting across the various areas that you're going to find Copilot inside Teams. Now, on the very first session, I went through GCSE and trying to make sure that we move from the command over to the conversation. Just remember, go in, have a look at that art of prompting, get to know the taxonomy because it's going to help you in all of the applications that I go through as part of this particular series. So now, where are you going to find Okay, Copilot is involved in so many different endpoints across the Microsoft 365 ecosystem, but of course, today we're focused on Microsoft Teams. And what we need to remember is Teams is a pane of glass that sits over the top of Microsoft 365. So a lot of times we can be inside Teams and do a lot of different functionality and ask for a lot of things. However, I'm not going to focus on the OneDrive app that's actually inside Teams because I'm going to touch on that when I do the OneDrive session, for example. So let's just try and stick to the core things, which is meetings, chat, and channels. So I'm going to focus on those. So where are that finding of Copilot and what do you have? So depending on the technology and depending on, that license that you've actually purchased will actually make a difference. So if you don't have a Copilot license, it's called Copilot Chat, and I don't have this work or web icon. So if you've purchased a license, you're going to have different functionality when you do get in to any of the applications. So when I dive down into Microsoft Teams, if all I've got is Copilot Chat, I would then be just using the, Copilot Chat icon inside Teams, and I wouldn't be able to embed it in my work environment. So there is a difference between Copilot Chat and Microsoft 365 Copilot when you are in Teams. I can, if I wish to, very quickly and easily go and have a look in the prompt gallery that would actually support you to be able to see what kind of prompts I could do right across Microsoft Teams. That would then help me to have a bit of an idea of true, tried and tested prompts that would actually support you in your journey. Now, when I'm in Teams, where am I actually going to find it? One, you're going to see it in your chats and your group chats, in meeting chats as well as private meeting chats. So you've got different types of chats that are meetings and rescheduled meetings. And I've got recurring meetings. I've got Meet Now. So we've got chat in that. I can do it in posts. I can do it in announcements. I've got one-on-one type group calls. If it's a single meeting, like private type meetings or channel meetings, and Meet Now in the actual meeting itself. So when we get in all those single meetings and instances, and not just over in a Meet Now and the chat component of any of these meetings. So there are different places that we actually go, both when you're online or once you're away from the meeting afterwards, you'll be able to find Copilot as well. Some of the requirements around Copilot in meetings, if we kind of look at meetings to get ourselves started. Number one, you will need to turn on transcription or recording to be able to work with Copilot in your meetings. You do also need enough time where participants are actually speaking. If you come in and go, I need to, catch up, or can you give me some information of where we're at? If you've really only just started, you're going to get a message and it's going to come back and actually state, I don't have enough information at this point. So you do need a little bit to get started. And it also needs to be a meeting that's actually created by someone that's within your organization. So yourself, for example. If you're dealing with an external party and they're the ones that have actually created the meeting, you're not going to be able to use Copilot Chat in their meeting. Okay, so that's some of those requirements to support you. One of the great things about getting into a meeting is, in meeting, you can select Copilot from the meeting controls, so you've got to kick it off. It will usually ask you in what language you want it. So for Australia, for example, we choose UK English because we don't have Australian English at this point, or you'll get, if you try and ask for it, you'll just get throw a shrimp on the Barbie type. We don't want that, okay? But you can choose UK English. Now, the moment you're in, if you come in late to the meeting, so if you're actually late, and that recording or transcription is actually turned on, it will ask you, do you want a summary of the meeting so far? That will come up automatically for you. When you get to the end of a meeting, from about 10 minutes from the end of the meeting, it's also going to ask you, would you like the notes and action items to be able to help and support you at the end of this meeting? So there's a couple of things that we'll actually do by default for you. Let's have a look at some of the team prompts. I'm not going to take a lot of these prompts. I'm going to go and click or play around inside Teams in a second, but let's have a look. So some of the prompts that are actually out there. Now, if I was using Copilot, so if I'm just focused on the Copilot component, when we get in here and I'm focusing on the team prompts here, I'm in Copilot Chat potentially. So let's go over. So if I'm in Copilot in Microsoft Teams, now I'm currently in chat. I've chosen Copilot. This gives me the same environment as if I was in Copilot up here, and I'm using my Copilot Chat work web. But a lot of the times I'm already in chat, so I actually just use this one here and I focus on this one here. Now, if I was inside this chat, so this is the kind of the chat component of Teams, there are things that I might do that focus me literally on team type functionality. Now, this doesn't mean that I'm physically in a meeting at this point, or I'm not in a chat, or I'm not in a channel, but I might ask different prompts. For example, the type of team prompts that I particularly like that I do all the time is summarize my Teams messages where I was at mentioned this month. Okay, that's one that I like to use. Have I been at mentioned? Or focus on the last couple of days in chats and posts, and I've been mentioned, and have I responded? Did I miss anything? Tell me if I've missed anything. So I grab these ones, and these are sorts of things that I paste all of the time. Then there are things like my AI notes, and I'm going to use a couple of these. I'm going to play around with them in just a second. My AI notes to draft an email up with the action items and put it in a concise, senior manager-friendly tone. Another one, create an email with a bullet point list of meeting summaries and action items in a table with the following headings: action, owner, date. to send to the organizer of the meeting in a concise and formal tone. These are ones I copy and paste all the time. I have a OneNote with a Teams page for Copilot where I can actually just get this easily. Okay. Another one I tend to do is paraphrase this meeting. So it might be a current meeting that I've just had, to send an email answering questions that actually arose from the action items from another meeting. Now, it could be one and the same person, or maybe you're having a meeting. For me, I'd have a meeting with a partner, and then I'll have a meeting with a client. So I'll go paraphrase the information from the client to go back to the action items to then go, what do I need to do for my partner? And then tell me what I've got to do to send it to that person's name in the partner, and it'll generate different information, and it gives me an email I can just copy and paste. So these are things that I do all the time in my Teams prompts. Let's go have a look. So if I was just doing a prompt inside Teams and I was focused literally on my Teams content, and I go, focus on the last 3 days. Is there any chats or posts I've mentioned? Have I responded to it? Are there any required actions? Now I'm in my work. I'm embedded in my work environment, because web means it's going externally. It's not going to help me. I want it to physically look at my web and what I've actually got going on and information and things that I'm doing. So it can give me a bit of an idea of what I've got to do and action items and where I might have gone in. Have I responded to everything? It's like, at the moment, there's nothing specific. It's like, great, okay. From here, it could be, let's do that. The other one that I had there. Use my AI notes from, let's go, what is it? My AI notes to draft a follow-up meeting. So my AI notes from my Teams 101. Teams 101, there we go, Teams 101 discussion that I've had, and I want to draft a follow-up email in terms of this information. So this is one I just pick and choose all the time. So it goes, right, let me go through and let me find all the information around that discussion, and it's created an email that I can then just go copy and paste. Done. It's even put in my signature block for me. So I then use these sorts of features and functionalities all the time. Now, it's a little different if I go over and I'm in a meeting. And I do particularly love using this information in meetings, these sorts of prompts. There are standard prompts that come with my Teams meeting. So these are the standards: recap so far, action items, follow-ups, questions that aren't resolved, perspectives, items, so the list of items discussed, give me my meeting notes, and highlight from chat. So these are some of the stock standards. However, when we go over, and I've got some other suggestions, I've put a list together of these to be able to support you. Now, don't forget the link that's actually here in terms of the presentation is available for you. Microsoft Reactor Isabel has very kindly put it into chat to be able to access the deck. It's a bit.ly link to be able to grab all of this. And also I'll bring the QR code up again at the very end so you can scan the QR code from your mobile if you wish to. So some of my suggestions, these are some of the things that I've either collated and other people have been fabulously putting information out there, ones that I do myself. Let's have a look. Things like how did a particular participant, how did they respond to whatever it is I'm doing? These are ones I use all the time. That proposal or an idea or the meeting or the action item or the training that I've actually done, for example, or the workshop, how have they responded to this workshop? How have they responded to? There's so many different scenarios that I actually use this for. Because, that sentiment of how people are actually engaging with you makes such a difference. There are others that are in here, some really good ideas. The ones that are my favorite, though, is, and I'm going to show you where I've used this recently, create a workback schedule based on deadlines that we discussed. It'll put it into a bit of a table for you with timings of when you need to have it before a particular date. And also create an email with the meeting summary of any action items to send to the organizer or attender of this meeting. So it creates an email for me. These are some of my favorites. Okay. Down the bottom here, if I then go based on my meetings, paraphrase the meeting, any questions that arose to send to. Now that's the one we've kind of just talked about. But this one here, Create an FAQ. A lot of times I'm doing workshops or training or those sorts of things. And if you're a little like me, you might say, I as part of the training, a ton of questions came up, or I often do Ask Me Anything sessions. So in an Ask Me Anything, it's questions are being thrown at me and I can then just answer them on the fly for them. Luckily, my brain allows for that as they pick at it. I get smaller and smaller brain as everyone picks at it. So create FAQs based on all that Q&A that I might have done inside a particular business. And I say, give me bullet points, and it's got to be structured, and it goes everything that was asked. Now I've got and FAQs that I can just copy and paste, give to the client, and they can put up on their SharePoint site, for example, as part of that program of work, things that I do all the time. So let's have a look at things like that creating of a work back schedule and the content. Let's go down. So here we go. Recently had a meeting with Brendan, and in that meeting, I then said what tasks were assigned as part of this meeting. Here are all the tasks assigned, so I could then copy and paste it. Then I've gone list the key points discussed about a particular migration, and here's that. Create a workback schedule based on deadlines that were discussed. It says provide some costing before the 12th of May, schedule the meeting, conduct training workshops, follow up on the progress. Okay, so they are different ones for you, and you can see then I've got my dates and it's got a workback schedule for me. I've also got down the bottom here, can you list any potential solutions that we've discussed for any of the issues that were raised? So help me out in understanding what are some of the solutions. We've raised lots of different things, and it will go, sure, I can give you some suggestions. I can even go recap again what was talked about. I've got my meeting notes, because the great part about having a meeting, when I go into this particular meeting, let's go back over into Teams, and I'll go to that meeting. So here we go. Here's my recap. Let's go have a look. Here's that recap. I've got it here as part of my AI summary. I open up Copilot, and then I can ask more questions. So some of the other questions that you might then ask of, create an email that summarizes this meeting to send to Brendan. There we go. And I might say what type of tone. I might say put this in table format, this in paragraph, this in bullet points I can do, and list out all sorts of things in here as part of the way that I work. So here it goes. It's building off now. Here we go. What is it? Was it discussing? We talked about migrations. We talked about potential solutions that could be done. Okay, next steps. And that I did that workback schedule as well. So let me know if there's any additional points. Best regards. And I might then go copy. And I would paste that over into my mailbox and get it ready. When you go over and you paste anything into Outlook from Teams, for example. So if I go and get a new email, so let me bring up a new email. So here we go. When I paste in to Outlook, it will actually say that it's AI generated information that's being put in here. And as part of that AI generated, you can leave it in there if you like, so that your person that you're going to send this through knows that they were actually created this way, or you could remove it out and adjust it around as you need to. So just something to take into consideration when you do a copy and paste. Okay. So while I've got my information and I'm ready to go, what are some of the other things that I've actually done across different meetings, for example? So in this one, it was a workshop. I had a room. And because I had a room, how do you kind of work with a room when you're using Copilot? I get this asked to me all the time. The best thing that you can do if you've got a room and you don't have the devices in the room to be able to help and support you, because you can actually get devices, very specific devices that will recognize, do voice recognition and facial recognition and say who it is as a speaker, without actually having them all log into Teams. Okay. Now you can do that. However, most meeting rooms don't have that technology. And if that is the case, the best thing that you can actually do is have them announce who they are if they're going to ask a question. So they can then just say, it's Helen here from accounts. My question is. And if you get them to just start with their name, then it will go into the transcript so that you can actually ask things like, what did someone in particular actually say in their session? So if I came through and I just sort of went, okay, did Carol ask any questions in this webinar? And I can actually then ask, did she ask something as part of this session? There's no mention of anyone asking any questions. Only speakers are Kirsty and the unknown speaker. So she didn't actually say her name out loud. So that does make it a little harder for me to then work out who asked. So that's why it's really important that they actually start to then do their name first so that you can dive into it. It could be summarize then key points that were made, diving in. Copilot will give you suggestions, so it will flow through. It will give you where it was physically in the recording. So every single component is listed out, and you can then listen to it from that particular point. What questions were asked by the participant? Were there even any questions that were actually asked by the participants? It's like, there certainly was. Okay. And I could then go, right, these were the questions that were asked during this particular session. Okay. So there are reasons why you would try and make sure that you've actually got people included and they are talking out loud and give you their name and functionality. Okay. So that will help you a lot if you do that. From here, what about if I'm in chat? So a lot of the times I might get into a particular chat and I will say some of the chat highlights. Those chat highlights will be, who's actually joined the team in a chat. It's like it could be, then chat highlights, don't forget, in this chat is available after a meeting. We've got meeting chats. You could do it there and or just one-on-one chats. Tasks assigned and completed, decisions, meetings, okay, files that might be shared, topics, feedback. Now coming soon, you're going to see, and what was shown on the screen, and it will give you screen snippets as well. You may or may not have had that rolled out to yet. It is coming, so looking forward to seeing that rolled out to everyone. Problems that were actually encountered, announcements, and maybe even, what did everyone share in regards to doing over the weekend? Maybe you want to catch up on people's hobbies so that you could reach out to them and then have a bit of a chat. Go, I can't remember what the children's names were. They did tell me in the meeting. What was Carol's children's name that we talked about? And it'll look through the transcript for you. So, okay, let me go. And she was talking about one's been sick. I'm just going to follow up. Get into the personal side of things. I also like things like that sentiment, because you can go based on tone. Copilot will look at the tone. So I go, does my audience enjoy this particular session? What was the audience sentiment when I was running the training, for example? And so it seems like they were a little hesitant and they were struggling with a few of the items throughout here in the training, but you've managed to fix this, that, and they seem much happier by the end. Ask it. Okay. And if you're not sure what Copilot could actually do, then ask it. It's really simple to go, what can you do in Teams chat? So what are the things that you can do? Now, if I go over into a group chat, when I'm in a group chat, so I've brought multiple people together, it can be things like highlight from however many days passed. Any decisions, summarize, takeaways, what did a particular member say, any links that were shared, can you give me an update? So these are things that you can go and do over in a chat in terms of chat highlights. So it could be, what have we done over that weekend if it was in there and it was actually talked about. So I'm going to do a meeting. So when I'm kicking off a meeting, it's really important that you actually start. You say, what is the language? So choose your language. We talked about this. Confirm. Kicking in, and this is what it looks like. It will start the transcript. There's a privacy policy, so it will inform. It will say now that it's up and running, and I can then go in, also make sure potentially that I'm recording as well, because I can actually use Copilot in Microsoft Stream. That's another topic where you can go and ask questions of your recording. So once you get in, and this is when you'll start to, jump in. Maybe you rocked up a little late and you said, what's been talked about so far. But Maria and I were just talking together. It was just the two of us. And I wanted to do a bit of a quick recap of the meeting so far. It goes, sure, this is what you've actually talked about. Now, the button would be there if it was getting towards the very end, but because it was only 15 minutes in, I didn't have the button there to just get myself started. So I was typing it in instead and asking it around action items. So this is one that I have recorded for you live so you can see it in action. Because we're actually in a StreamYard environment in the recording here, I needed to do one for you. It's a little hard to do a Teams meeting when you're in another one. And then I've done the whole give me an email that I could then copy and paste at the end based on what we've talked about so that I could take it over. So it gives you a little bit of an idea. I'm going to get off that one. So I'm going to go back now. I'm going to cancel that. Let's come back over into Teams. So over in Teams, a few of the other things that I might actually do. So for example, I'm in and I've got here a draft of conversation in my channel. So I'm now doing a channel post. And in this channel post, I've got information in here that I'm having a chat with my coworker, Dana, in regards to my Microsoft 365 adoption website that I've got. Now, what I can do is say, can you rewrite this? And you can do this same functionality over in chat, go rewrite. And I go, okay, it's gone in. Like if I have a look, I've gone, oh, and the homepage, because I forgot. I went, oh, and the homepage is, of course, as well. It's there too. And it's now changed it and said, and one page is live, the adoption and the homepage is also live. So it took out my more, my less formal and. I could adjust it if I wanted to and make it quite casual. Okay, it will adjust it and then bring in over here. I've accidentally clicked away. So I can go, I want to adjust this and make it a little bit more casual, generating the response. Okay, of course, now it doesn't want to work for me today. It's always the way, isn't it? So I go, sure, rewrite, and then go replace. So it's dropped off now the O, and I could come back here and play around with it a little bit more and just say, I don't like that. Can you completely rewrite? And I've got my original adjusting. Do I like it? Very good. Yeah, sure. Like it, done. And I could then push that out now as a post. And you'll see you'll have that key function here. Now coming is you'll have the ability to be able to use Copilot in your channel. So it depends on your particular tenant. I am on preview. However, at the moment, it's not actually in the channel. It's one of those ones that's coming. So you'll be able to use it in your channel, the same as you can actually use it inside a particular chat. So if you've got chats going on with someone, you could come back in. And even if you're chatting with yourself, for example, you could go, what have I been focused on and putting in here for the last week so I can follow up and do a bit of a summary. Okay, so that's some of the functionality that you can actually do. Now, in the presentation, I'm just going to go cancel that, discard. Of course, I've stopped. Let's just jump down. So any further information is actually available. Don't forget, we've got more sessions that are actually coming. In a fortnight or so, we're going to be doing Outlook. So we're going to focus on Outlook. There is some great Learn support in regards to Microsoft Teams and the certain things that you're going to find. Go into the frequently asked questions if you're not quite sure. There is lots of training and documentation to roll out around adoption. There are guides on things that you can do and the art of the prompting, all in my presentation. Go and have a look at the scenario library of how you might use Teams in your particular organization as a role. Don't forget there's lots of platforms for you to be able to do learning, including Microsoft Learn, where you can go from really basic through to quite advanced. There is the Microsoft Copilot blog site for you to be able to have a look at of what's new. Don't forget, you can download the wheel if you need to. It is available and part of the presentation. But ultimately, the power of something like Copilot really lies with a behavioral change. It's the way people work, and that is up to you to go on that journey. Thank you so much for joining in the session. I hope you've enjoyed that hard and fast 30 minutes on how to use Microsoft Teams and Copilot. That presentation is available for you to be able to pull down. Thank you for joining, everyone.
Thank you, Kirsty. That was a really good presentation. And guys, thank you all for joining us at home as well. We really care about your opinions. So if you could please take a couple minutes to scan the QR code that is on the screen right now, it will take you to a survey where you will be able to answer a couple of questions about your thoughts, opinions on the session so that we can go back to Kirsty, tell her what you guys thought about it, if there's any ways we can improve it. So please, we would appreciate it so that we can continue creating great content for all of you. And like she said, we are hosting even more sessions on the Copilot Corner series. So don't forget to access the Reactor website and register for the series. And additionally, we now have a Discord community and GitHub discussion board for the Microsoft AI community. So these are just right here on your screen if you guys want to scan them and join the Discord and GitHub communities. Thank you all once again. Thank you, Kirsty, for your fantastic session. And I will now be wrapping up this session. Thank you, everyone, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.